a lot of the things in our van that are like the coolest parts, I think, are the things that we originally made mistakes on when we were building it. So
from building their very first cabinet to building an entire tiny home on wheels, Nick and Rachel created an awesome home out of a former ambulance. Their van features a simple kitchen with a foot pump operated faucet, great storage solutions, a platform bed, and, because it was an ambulance, an electrical cabinet on the outside.
hi, I'm Rachel.
I'm Nick.
And we are a couple that lives in a 2011 Chevrolet van that was, prior to us living in it, it was an ambulance. Mm-hmm. We run a YouTube channel that is under the title of our own name. So we're Nick and Rachel on YouTube, as well as on Instagram, just Nick and Rachel. And then we also run a travel blog, which is notlux.com. So NOTLUXE.com.
Yeah, so this is our little kitchen setup. It's nothing spectacular. We have some regrets, and that's this sink mostly. It's hard to wash dishes in the sink, but other than that, it works fine. And the induction stove as well. When we were building the van, we were kind of learning on the fly, so we just figured, hey, we'll get an induction stove, that way we're not working with propane. And we didn't really understand, how inverters and batteries and all of that kind of worked. So our inverter and battery setup isn't strong enough to power the induction stove. So we do have like a little propane stove that we just have underneath the fridge that we'll have to pull out. Hopefully, we're hoping that we can take the induction stove out and maybe install a propane stove. But other than that, it works fine. We don't have like automatic turn-ons for the sink. So it's just a foot pump here. Just pump it. It comes up through some PEX lines that we wired in. I actually went to school for plumbing and pipe fitting, so this is like a pretty not so great setup, but we did all right and everything else, I think. Then down here we've got just like a little chest style fridge, and yeah, and then we've got, of course, our control center here for all of our lights. We've got like different bars that you can power on. And
I'm usually the one showing this part. As you can tell, Nick can't stand in the van and I can. I'm only 5'3" and Nick is 6 feet tall, and if you're taller than 5'8", you may not be able to stand up straight in here. But right here is like the closest thing we have to overhead storage, other than where we keep our dishes. Because our van isn't very tall, we didn't have room to do a whole bunch of overhead storage, so this is the best that we got. So in here we just kind of keep like extra spices, and we call it like our miscellaneous drawer. And then here we keep a lot of, in Canada we call them toques. We wear them all the time, but not so much in the desert. And then like socks and undies are up here. And then when we had installed, well, not much installation, but when we had hung this hanging storage here, we thought that it was going to be just kind of like temporary storage, like if we got a bag of chips and didn't know where to put it or something, but it's actually just accumulated. So it's kind of become like our linen closet. So we have like towels and stuff in here, and then shower stuff, and whatever really doesn't fit in our closet kind of comes here. And we thought that things would fly out, but it kind of just swings with the van as we drive, so it works. It was $20.
That's awesome.
And then behind here, so we have this kind of like fruit basket, which we throw other stuff in there. And then back here was like a newer addition to our van, so obviously a spice rack. When we first built the van, we didn't include a spice rack, and I really recommend if you like cooking to include a spice rack. Makes it feel a lot homier, like when you can just cook and grab spices. So yeah, we made these ourselves and stained them with the same stain that we did the walls with, and we love it. We think that it looks really nice. This is a false wall too, so if we were to take out one screw and then take it off, then we have access to our electrical cabinet if we want to like run any other wires or anything. Yeah.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. So this is really big and bulky right now. We just drove from Canada, so we still have all of our coats up. But we also installed a shoe rack here, which has been really helpful for us. We didn't really know what to do with this step area that came with the ambulance, and we ended up doing that, and it's been really great.
so we've got our two seating areas here. Typically we have like a little pull-out table that we'll put here, so after we make dinner we'll pull that out, and then it's easy to store. And then underneath our seats this is essentially like our closet. So this one has all of our clothes and everything in it. Rachel's is over on this side, mine's here, and then we just have like a shared kind of sweater space in the middle. Yeah, and then over on this side, in this seating area, this is kind of like all of our extra food, as well as like some electronics and stuff. And then the reason I have it split up here is this heater runs off of shoreline power. So if I have the ambulance plugged in somewhere, then we can turn this heater on. So I didn't really want to I wanted to kind of keep this space open in case it got hot back there. I wasn't entirely sure if it was going to, but because we're not plugged in very often, we usually just use it for storage. Over on this side as well, we also have like this is where we plug everything in. So this just runs into the electrical box on the outside here. And this just is connected to our inverter. So this is where we plug all of our phones in and everything. And then this outlet here, again, it only works when we're plugged into shoreline power. So I wasn't able to figure out the electrical that way, but this works just fine. And then we have lots of solar on top to feed everything. So
how much solar do you have?
We have 630 watts of solar. So it's two 315 watt panels. Like 4x8, I think. So two massive panels on top. But yeah, they keep the batteries nice and fed. But
and what kind of batteries do you have?
Two deep cycle AGM batteries is what we have back there. They're just like cheap brand, whatever that we could afford at the time.
Okay.
So just for extra storage, we installed these little baskets here as well, just for quick access to things like tortillas or like peanut butter, whatever we have in there, so that we're not digging through the pantry. So just extra storage that way. We used to have two tiny little baskets there, but we've since upgraded to a bigger basket, which is nice.
It's a great solution.
Yeah.
So we opted for a fixed bed. We didn't really envision ourselves being able to like put together and take apart our bed all the time. And I understand that works for some people, but definitely for us, like we love to just lay in bed all the time, basically. So what's also really great about having an ambulance is that we are 7 feet wide at the back. So this is a full length bed. And like Nick said, we also have room at the bottom, which is where we keep our fold out table if we want to just eat. And then at the foot of the bed, we have some more storage. So we had just like built this cabinet. It's kind of an awkward size. So it's really tall and skinny. So we didn't know what to do. And what we ended up doing is just getting these belly baskets. And then so this is extra storage for us here in these baskets. So I have like a lot of hair stuff for my hair. But yeah, basically everything that we didn't know where to put. So
that's great.
Yeah.
How did you make the cabinets?
So this is just out of like C grade plywood, really cheap plywood. It didn't look very great. And Nick made the cabinet and had never made a cabinet before. So we didn't understand that like when he put in the hinges, it went through the plywood, like on the other side. We bought those kind of hinges. And so these shims here were my solution to covering that up.
I love it.
Yeah, and then we just used the same stain that we used for the walls because we had a bunch of black stain left over, or ebony stain, and went over it with that stain, and it ended up actually looking pretty cool.
It does.
But a lot of the things in our van that are like the coolest parts, I think, are the things that we originally made mistakes on when we were building it. So yeah, this was kind of my response to that.
That's great.
Back here, we've just got all of our storage. So it's just underneath the bed. Oh my gosh, it's very windy, as I'm sure you can tell. Yeah, so this is just, we've got like extra clothes under here, over on this side, and then the Coleman grill. I've got a toolbox there. We keep some, extra groceries, propane, and then tucked in the side there is all of my skateboards and helmets and things like that. Yeah, just kind of stuff that we don't need access to every day.
Okay, folks, sorry about the wind noise, but this is where we are. So this is their electrical cabinet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've got like all of this stuff here came with the ambulance. I'm not entirely sure what all of it does. What we installed was our solar controller here, so that just feeds down from the roof. And then we've got our 600 watt inverter here. Yeah, we've got our 2 deep cycle AGM batteries, again, that are fed from the solar controller. And then we've also installed recently this amp as well, just so we put a little sub in the back just to kind of make it a little louder. And yeah, I mean, if you're always driving along the road, it's kind of nice to have some music, so
Cool.
we had room.
I think that if you're considering like a cheaper van for van life, if you don't even know where to start, an ambulance is a really good option. A really big part of our build was stripping out all the ambulance things that come with an ambulance, so it did take a little bit more time than if it were to come bare bones. But we absolutely love our van, and if you're thinking about doing van life, do it, because we thought about it at one point. This was just a dream for us too, and now we're living it, so anyone can do it.
Great.
Agreed.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was awesome.
I want to thank Nick and Raychel for sharing their van with us. I encourage you to follow along on their adventures at notlux.com. If you'd like to see more van and rig tours, van life tips, and other information to help women get on the road, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. I appreciate your thoughtful comments, and if you'd like to join in deeper conversation, join our Facebook group, Gal Adventurers. This is Joni with the Galavan. Enjoy your journey.